think I remember how to do this. Y'all tell me if the music in the game is like going crazy. I'm gonna turn it down for just a minute since I'm gonna talk. Give it a second to let a couple of people get in here, but also I'm just gonna lay out what I'm doing today. It's been a minute since I've streamed, and there have been some developments on IndieVelo here that I have not seen yet. RGT, which was my kind of go-to non-Zwift inside option, has gone away. So, I've been riding Zwift a lot. It's gotten very cold outside, but always exploring what else is out there. So today I'm going to check out a new, looks like this whole island on the far side of the screen over there is brand new. They basically just created a whole new island and tacked it onto the existing one. So those are all new roads. I think I'll find a route that goes on some of that. I think all of that is kind of like lunar landscape sort of, Mont Ventoux-esque. We'll see what the graphics are like and stuff. But yeah, I'm going to check that out. I'm stuck inside because it has snowed here, and any amount of snow cripples everything in Alabama. It's kind of a once-a-year thing. But also, I came back from team camp last week, so I've got a lot to talk about in terms of like what my year is, what I'm going to be doing. Anyway, let's get into IndieVelo. So the first thing I noticed when I hopped on here is the pairing equipment. This is something that we've been asking Zwift for years, and IndieVelo has done it, which is you can pair two power sources. So I've got a power meter down here, and I've got my smart trainer paired as power up there, and they're both reading in real time. So you can do a dual recording into the game rather than having to record one power source into the game, then run a head unit on your bike and record another power source. So I think that just by having both of these connected, it's going to dual record, and I'll be able to see both power sources at the end. It looks like they're both tracking pretty closely. So yeah, pretty amazing. Something we've been asking Zwift for forever, for racing, so that we can, and also like beyond racing, I want to know that my trainer and my power meter are lining up. Like if those start to get out of whack, I want to know if my power numbers are bunk or not. Speaking of that, I've got some new PRs when I'm talking about goals for the year and stuff. Talk about what I did last week at base camp, looking at this route named base camp, what I did last week at team camp, and a couple new power PRs I set. Anyway, let's find a loop that takes in the new roads over there on the right. I'm assuming probably Climber's Delight does. Also, I'm coming off a massive week, so I'm not going to be doing I'm not going to be going hard, which I figured that would be a good this would be a good day to stream and check this stuff out, because I'll actually be able to talk while I do it. All of this looks like it's mostly on the island that I've ridden on all this before. Not all of these courses all the way through, but I've ridden most, if not all, of the roads on this original island on the left. Velodrome, little loops. I want to see if I can find one that goes onto that new island, but maybe not the entire massive climb. Nope. Thought it was going to turn right there. They made a lot of loops out of this one little island. It's kind of like Jarvis Island. Hey, can somebody in the chat tell me, is my audio okay? Is everything working. Like I said, it's been a minute since I've streamed, so tell me. You guys tell me if everything is working okay. I'm going to say it in the chat. Yeah, it looks like it's coming up. Is the only loop yeah, it looks like only the Climber's Delight. Cool. Thanks, Robin. The hardest part of streaming is getting the audio right, because, you know, in real time, I can't hear it. I'm hearing what I'm hearing in the room. I've got my headphones on. Yeah, it's tough. Okay, so it looks like this is the only route that goes over this direction. But there's this road right there. Before it turns to those switchbacks, there's this road. I don't know if anything takes that in. Maybe I'll go this way and see if I can catch it and do a manual turn. But yeah, we're all paired up. We got 2 power sources. Check that out at the end of the ride. Graphics are still looking a little archaic on IndieVelo, but there's a lot of stuff I like about it. The big one is the pack dynamics, and maybe I should have started out with a little group pace partner style. I forget what they call them on here, pacer bots, something. But they're pace partners. A little ride with those guys, just so you could see how the pack dynamics work. In case you have not seen IndieVelo before, maybe I should zoom out and explain what this even is. It's IndieVelo. It was developed by a guy who worked for Zwift for a long time, if I'm understanding correctly, and wanted to make a lot of the improvements that people ask for that he knew were possible, and frustrated that weren't happening. So he kind of just went and did this himself. Like, one guy made this whole platform. So you notice there's a lot of stuff like the HUD. It's tracking my TSS and my calories in real time, which you got to download and pay for an extension like Sauce to show that. You've also got there, I've got my right-left balance on my power meter pedals. Looks like I'm a little bit right heavy. Yeah, there's so many more things, and this is all customizable too. You can change the layout of the heads-up display here to show you just what you want. Like, there is some stuff that can go behind me right here that I've turned off. I believe it's about like segments and live timing, just because I don't care about that, and I need somewhere for the chat to go. So if you say something, pop up above my head here. But yeah, you can also get rid of, like Zwift, but you can get rid of everything like that. Oh, we got a little group here. All right, I'll get in and you can see the drafting. So top right-hand corner of the screen, there's a little bar that says draft. It'll tell you how much draft you're getting. And there is also wind. So in the top left of that little box, it says the direction of the wind and how fast it's coming. So that actually makes like positioning within the group a little more important. And it looks like I'm turning off and they're staying on the main path there, on the main island. All right, this is going over to the new island. It's freezing in here in my Zwift cave. It's like, think the high in Alabama today was 22 degrees or 25 degrees. And so I had to start with a little extra on. Verge Sport sent me this indoor specific kit. Really been liking it. It's super like breathable, fits really good. Like, look at the fit of the sleeves is really good, which is hard to find. So it looks like we're getting into the climb here. See if it gives me a prompt to turn manually. So one thing about IndieVelo people are mixed on is most of these riders are bots. And it's hard to tell who's a bot and who's not. I don't think there's really a way other than like chatting, but there's not an obvious, like on Zwift, the only bots are literally robots. Like their avatars are robots. That is not the case on IndieVelo. Let's see camera angles we got. One. Ooh, that's a weird one. I don't know about that, IndieVelo. 3 is first person. 4 to the side. I don't know why my avatar is like, looks like a 50-year-old guy who dyes his hair. That was as close as I could get. Maybe I'm headed that way. I'm a masters racer now, so maybe that's more accurate than I would like it to be. 6. So it looks like these are pretty much the Zwift camera angles. Helicopter's too far away. Back to 1. Oh, we got hand cycles on here. That's an update I missed. Yeah, you can see the wind coming in. We got a right to left crosswind on this part of the climb. I was really hoping for better graphics by this point on IndieVelo, but I think the way they're building it makes more sense than Zwift. Zwift is built on a proprietary engine, meaning like the foundation of the game is a game foundation that no one else uses. So it's really hard to hire people to work on that because nobody has experience with it. Everyone has to learn it from the ground up when they get hired on. And you can't buy ready-made assets and stuff. This is made in Unreal or one of the, I forget which one exactly. I'm not a programmer, but one of the common game engines that a lot of games use. So I would imagine like each of the trees and some of these textures and stuff, you don't have to hand do that yourself. You can buy those assets pre-made and plop them down, which is part of what allows, I would assume, one guy to make this entire game, which is pretty remarkable. At least, again, that's my understanding, is that IndieVelo is pretty much one guy. What's up? Hey, Damon, how's it going, man? I'm here. I've been on the bike the whole time. I was just outside a lot. But I had to check out what's going on IndieVelo. I got the email about this big new update, and we're snowed in here. Yeah, good to be here. It's been a minute. It is firmly indoor season, even in Alabama. We've it's cold. It's fully not doable to ride outside today. I've been outside a lot though. I guess that brings me to, I'll keep bouncing around talking about IndieVelo and whatever comes up, you know, as needed, but I wanted to talk about what I've been up to in the recent months or whatever. So yeah, people are snowed in all across the Southeast. I'm probably fine. Like I could go drive, but it rained yesterday and then got very cold and the rain turned to snow. So most of the snow melted, but there's just random spots of black ice. So it doesn't look very treacherous until an 18-wheeler jackknifes in front of you or whatever. Or you're riding and you just lose both tires at the same time, which is happening, I believe. But yeah, I've had a couple injuries last season, broken ankle. This time last year, I was in a wheelchair most of the day, and I was riding this trainer with my right leg in a boot, in a like fixed boot on a flat pedal. My left leg clipped in, just trying to get some blood flow, but like literally pushing like 100 watts, trying to get some blood flow to the ankle, rehab that, and then back to the wheelchair. So I'm excited that I am more or less healthy right now, coming into season, and I want to make the most of it. So I think I'm planning to do ZRL coming up. I've also got a full road calendar. So we just came back from team camp. I'll put this Strava up here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Just came back from road team camp last week, over the weekend. You can see I've got my biggest week of volume in a year, 2 weeks ago. And then top to that, the next week. Now, that's my cycling and gym, the time there. And some of those miles are virtual. So 373 miles, 21 hours, 24 minutes. I think about an hour and a half of that was gym work. But yeah, that's what I've been working on, is really getting the volume back up there. And I want to do it up. I want to get fit for this season. I want to really get in it. Our team, my road team, Skyway Domestique, has a lot of really good support this year, really good sponsors, and some new guys that are super strong. And, you know, it's given me motivation to get back on it. My plan was already to do Cyclocross Nationals next year, which I just got back from probably exactly a month ago, just about. I raced Cyclocross Nationals somewhere in this time frame. Yeah, probably the middle of this week. Yeah, here it is. Masters Nats. I was dead on mid-pack in my race at CX Nats, but I came into this season. I may not be able to resist the skateboard, but I am going double ankle braces from now on. And so far, so good on that. And see, fall is when cross is. So really, my year is kind of going to be cut in two. I'm going to do a lot of racing early. So my road team has some big goals this year. Last year, Sunny King Crit, the Cat 2 race, was our big goal. We put Alex on the podium in second at that one. That was probably my shining moment of last year, coming back from injury. And really like the whole team executing a plan there. But we've got some more we've got some more people on board, some more sponsors on board this year, and we're gonna take it a little more national. Still doing the 1-2 races or Cat 2 races rather than the pro races. So like elite amateur level, but on more of a national scale. I think the big one for us this year is going to be Tulsa. So that's on my radar. But yeah, I'm going to be in less than a month. Plan is to race Swamp Classic in Florida, which is really early, and it's in Florida. It's not that big of a race, but because it's kind of the first thing, it tends to draw a lot of people out. A lot of good racers want to test the legs or get some KMs done. And like Vegan Cyclist has a video about it from a couple years ago. So yeah, it's going to be my first one, February 3rd, 4th. So I did that big week of volume last week. Gonna take this week a little easy to try and absorb all that. So still riding, still getting in the gym, but probably about half as much. Then start hitting some hard efforts, probably with ZRL next week. So it's another reason I wanted to stream today, is to say, if you want to watch ZRL next Tuesday, I'll be back in my old form, streaming a Zwift race, potentially getting my butt kicked because I haven't done VO2 in a month and a half, but it'll be fun. And that will be just on Twitch. Right now I'm going to YouTube and Twitch, but that'll be Twitch only. Not gonna lie, I was hoping for a little bit more out of the scenery on this new island on IndieVelo, but everybody was asking for a big climb, and everybody has gotten a big climb. So you can't say that he's not responding to the people. And it's still very impressive that this is in beta, so it is free. You can pay to be a member of the Founders Club and get some more perks and stuff. But yeah, if you're looking for something to try this winter, or maybe you don't want to pay for Zwift, or maybe you're tired of looking at Zwift, I recommend IndieVelo. I think I've already got like 10, 12 hours on here, mostly pace partners, but one little race, they got a lot of races with bots the bots are pretty smart and good. And then a lot of the big stuff from RGT, the weekly, like the Westerly VR, I believe has moved over here. And those events are populated with a lot of people, real people, not bots. So yeah, there's a little bit of everything, but you can just get on here and race whenever you want with the bots, and it's pretty good. So last week, team camp, over the weekend really, team camp was just Friday through Sunday. Did some big miles, and my first intensity outside the gym in a long time. So let's talk PRs. I was already fired up. I was talking about our sponsors, Domestique Coffee, Bob's Red Mill Oatmeal, which is sick. Super hyped on that. Once Upon a Coconut water. Good People Brewing beer. So we're like the beverage team. We got all of our beverages covered, which I'm super psyched about. Got a new helmet sponsor that I don't think is announced or dropped yet. A new bike sponsor who, it's a really small company, and they make an aluminum aero bike, which I am so excited about. I've been preaching the, there's a hole in the market. There's a reason everybody's Allays are overpriced. The your Allay is overpriced meme. It's because there's a big market for a durable, fast, affordable bike. And the company we're working with makes one, which I am going to get and spec with some fast, affordable parts. And I'll have content about that on the YouTube as soon as we get the shipping from Australia worked out. I think I can go ahead and say that's Hosking Bikes. It's Chloe Hosking, who we had on the podcast, which is also about to pick back up because there's been a ton of news on, road transfers, Corey Williams going to Blazers, all that stuff. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. What's up, Brian? So, PRs from Team Camp. This really got my spirit up. In addition to all of the awesome support I was just talking about and all the cool races the team has on the calendar, I've always wanted to do Tulsa Crybaby Hill, and I've never really had a team that wanted to do it or like other people that were going to get out there with me. So it's exciting that that's on the horizon. But so Team Camp Day 2, 101 miles. This was on Saturday. I got a new to the best of my knowledge, this is my best 15 seconds ever, according to the Coggin chart by watts per kilo. It's UCI Pro numbers, which most pro sprinters are not 62 kgs. But yeah, 16 watts a kg for 15 seconds. And this sprint was 6 hours and 16 minutes into the ride. So that's got me really excited that I haven't even really started doing hard efforts again. I've just been in the gym and I've already hit a PR for the year. And it's not like I said, what are the ideal conditions for a PR, and let me just nail that. I went out and did a big ride with the team. We did a TTT segment earlier in this ride, and at the very end, I was able to produce those numbers. That was day 2. Then on day 3, I kind of wanted to see if that was a fluke or if I was, you never want to believe your power meter, or at least I don't. Like when it says something seems potentially too good to be true. So this is me and Zach right here from a different ride, but toward the end of Sunday's ride, day 3, Zach and I did a heads up side-by-side sprint, partially because we both wanted to see what we could do, but also because I wanted to know, how our power lined up. And we both did in the 900s, but I did it again, 989 for 15. Zach was also in the 900s, and I pulled away from him just slightly in the sprint. But that gives me a little bit of faith that we were doing very similar raw wattages. And yeah, just that my power meter isn't busted. So this is kind of check number 3, is put my power meter up against my trainer and make sure that it's not just completely blowing things out of the water. But I don't think it is. So yeah, a lot of road racing on the calendar for me next year. Really, I say road racing, crits. The team is really focusing on crits because that's what the sponsors want to see. That's where there's the energy. That's where people are going to see the logos on our kits, the equipment we're using, both in person and on the live stream. So probably get a couple road races in. I think there's a road race at Swamp Classic that I'm going to do just because I'm down there. But yeah, really going heavy on the crits this year. I think I'll probably do a good bit of the newly reformed USA Crits series, which that whole thing is a little sketchy. It originally got canceled because a guy was like groomer or pedophile or something associated with it. I'm not sure I ever got a really clear story on there, but that story broke. That league went away, and then ACC sprung up kind of in its place. It's back now. I hope that guy's not a part of it, but it's taken in a lot of the races that are in my local area, like the big sort of national stuff. See if I can jump on this guy's wheel. Giving me a little bit of a draft here. It doesn't give you other people's watts per kg. It just gives you their speed over there, which that's one of those, like, I know a lot of people want it, but see, now that I've moved over to this right side, my draft meter has gone up too, because we got a left to right wind, 7 kph. But yeah, some small differences from Zwift here. And the graphics are admittedly not quite as nice to look at. But I don't hate it. I like Indy. Oh, that guy's done, I guess. I jumped on his wheel and he called it a day. See if I can wave at him. Yeah, later in the year though, I talked a little bit about Cyclocross Nationals. So I am of master's age in cyclocross now, over 36 years old, and I don't have any delusions of racing elite cyclocross nationals. That's a level that I have not been on. There's not enough high level cyclocross in my area to like get me to that level, and like truly, when I'm as fit as I can get, I'm like right around 5 watts a kilo FTP. I hope to get there again this season, but I don't think that's enough to race elite cross. But I want to do nationals in the masters category. I did it this year kind of on a whim because I started thinking more than 1 year out. I only did cyclocross sort of locally this year. I did all the races in Alabama, won all the races in Alabama, which is, I don't know, maybe not super exciting, but, you know, smaller local races, smaller fields. But about halfway through the season, I realized that nationals is in Louisville. Louisville is drivable from here, and I could do it this year, and it's also going to be there next year. So I kind of almost did nationals this year as a pre-ride for next year. So that's sort of my late season goal. And to get me to a point where I'm hopefully not getting blown out of the water, because even saying like, oh, you're just doing Masters Nationals, in my race in Masters this year, 2 of the guys in the top 5 got 3rd and 4th in the single speed race. So it was Kerry Werner, Lance Hydette from Legion, then I believe Max Judelson from Rock Lobster. He's a 35 plus guy. And then Isaac Neff, who used to race for a team sponsored by Van Dessel at the elite level, also a 35 plus guy. He won the 35 plus race. So, and a lot of the hitters use the single speed race to sort of suss out the course for their elite race, get some hot laps in. So that field is not easy. And 2 guys that were in the front group of my race were hanging with the big dogs. I do think I'll probably do that that race, the single speed, next year in addition, just to like make the trip worth it. But yeah, I kind of did Masters Nationals to like see what it was like, see what the level was like. And I figured mid pack was about what was possible given. So I missed the first like couple of races of what would have been my season this year because I got COVID. Like literally I was packing up for race 1, didn't feel good, you know, clammy, sweating, and it was not hot. So I took my temperature and it was 103. Took a COVID test, it was COVID. So that took me out and really screwed up the beginning of my season. But I think it was ultimately good because it set me on this course. Probably what I would have done is what I normally do, which is like race some Alabama stuff, travel to other regional races, 3 or 4 of those in the season, you know, do okay, top 5 at those, and not do nationals, and that's my season. But having this sickness at the beginning made me kind of rethink everything. And that's when I realized I could kind of do nationals as a pre-ride and like set a goal over a year out. And I don't know if winning nationals is really, Masters Nationals is really in the cards, if that's like realistic. But I do think a top 5 is like possible and doable. I was dead on mid-pack this year. I think I can move up to the top 4th of the pack with a really good year of solid training, a lot of racing in my legs. I did the work last year. I just didn't have the base because during this period I had the fractured ankle and I was out of the game. So trying to flip the script on that a little bit with all of this early volume. Like I said, I did 20 hours on the bike last week and then like 1.5 hours in the gym. Gonna try to keep my volume a lot higher this year, which will probably mean a lot more time on the trainer. So I don't know if you guys want to see me streaming, follow me on Twitch. I probably won't be doing a lot of those. I figured this one just because IndieVelo, it's like a new thing. Not a lot of people have set it up or seen it yet. I figured that this one would have a little extra utility, so I should put it on YouTube as well as Twitch. But most of the time, if I'm doing a stream like this, where I'm kind of chatting and getting my time done, or even racing, I'll probably do that over on twitch.tv/Jonathan Crane if you want to catch that stuff. Also, their video encoder just looks better. So what I normally do is all of my Zwift racing or IndieVelo, just indoor racing in general, goes over on Twitch, and you can download the video off there. If I got something interesting, something I think is worth a race breakdown or an in-depth look, then I cut it up and make a YouTube video out of it using that Twitch footage, which looks better. What is a workout I enjoy on the indoor bike? You know, partially because of the terrain here, we have a lot of climbs that are kind of like 1 to 5 minutes. So I feel like I get a lot of that stuff, like normal VO2 max type work, done outside. I feel like the two things that I go to the trainer for in terms of like workouts are the extremes. So either really long threshold like 20-minute threshold efforts. So that workout would be like 2x20 or 3x20. So 10-minute easy warm up, 20 minutes right at threshold, 15 minutes in the middle, 20 minutes easy, 20 minutes right at threshold, cool down, or add a third one in there. Probably need 20 minutes of recovery between the two. And then another workout I really like is like the complete opposite end of that, 30-30s, which is 30 seconds on a really high percentage, probably like 150 to 175 percent of your FTP, and then 30 seconds at like 60% of your FTP, and a block of 5 minutes of that. So 30 seconds high, 30 seconds low, 30 seconds high, basically 10 of those, 10 counting each interval is one. So 5-minute blocks of that with 5-minute rest in between. Those are really good for cyclocross, but they're just hard to do outside because they're such short efforts. You're like standing up and sprinting, and then, it's hard to find a stretch of road that's continuous enough to do that. And also you get so hypoxic, like out of oxygen, that it's easy to feel like you need to fall off the trainer. Rugio, I have tried my whoosh. I think I've only got like 4 or 5 hours on there. I made a video about it pretty recently where I looked at this, my whoosh, and the other Rolla 1, and kind of compared them. I agree that this is better than Magic Roads 1. I'm not riding through a void, but also because Magic Roads 1 was like, it was just a Tron grid on the sides of the road. Then there was Magic Roads 2 where everything was kind of that one forest texture. I think this is maybe even better than that. But Robin, I actually didn't mind Magic Roads 1, but that's because all I was doing on it was racing. And when I'm racing, I'm really not paying attention to the scenery that much. But what I liked about it was the ability to, like, a lot of clubs. This was kind of late in 2020. A lot of clubs were taking their normal, Tuesday Smash Fest crit, building the loop on RGT, and then doing their club race on there. So I was kind of able to like jump in with like real life groups of people that race each other on essentially the circuit they race on. And like, it was cool to, experience those like local bunch ride hammer fests around the world. But I really only did it that way. Like, I was only ever racing. So the super hard effort, which most of those RGT races ended up being, kind of took the... I wasn't paying attention to the scenery, so it didn't bother me that much. Oh yeah, no worries. Oh man, yeah, that's pretty rough, Robin. Especially if you're just going for a spin like this. Like, right now, this doesn't look as good as Zwift or a lot of the other platforms, but they did just add where, like, see how it renders way into the distance over there? That's a new feature he just added. And I think his plan is, rather than how Zwift has, like, separate worlds, like Zwift and Maruki that you can't go between. From what I understand, the plan here is whenever new stuff is built, it will be like linked in the same world. And these are like, if I understand correctly, these two islands are set up as their own worlds, but you can ride between them seamlessly and you can see them from one another. So it feels like one massive world. which is kind of what I'm talking about when I say, like, I know it's not there yet, but I feel like what he's doing with this platform is setting him up to do a lot of stuff that's hard to do on Zwift because of their proprietary engine that makes a lot of things tough. I will say Zwift has stepped up, and I think RGT had a lot to do with that. I mean, even just like little things like Zwift has a ride now section with just like stuff you can just click immediately. They copied that directly from RGT. Their the teleportation too. RGT had the teleport feature, which I use a lot now. When I'm on Zwift, I will start with one pace partner, get going. Yeah, the avatar looks bad. Okay. Like I'm saying, there's a lot of features on here that I think are good. The graphics are lagging way behind. But because this is on an engine that a lot of people work on, I think it'll be a very easy, not very easy, but like possible to upgrade the graphics pretty quickly without too much trouble. Like, I can't remember what engine this is on. Again, I'm not a developer, but yeah, it looks weird. Also, all the bike models, look, I love rim brakes. This bike has rim brakes. I did like, I don't know, probably 300 miles last week on a rim brake bike, but it's weird that all of the bike models have rim brakes, and it's got externally routed cables too. Like, all of the bikes look, even if they were super well rendered, they're really well rendered 10-year-old bikes, which I think kind of makes this game feel like, even if the graphics were better, even if the textures were better and stuff, it's like what it's modeling is something old. CAD 13. Actually, I did most of my miles last week on my trainer bike. This is the one I brought to team camp because I knew it was going to rain on Friday. We did like 2.5 hours in the cold and the rain, and I wanted to be on aluminum rims. So this is a Cinelli Saetta Radical 2013 with 10-speed mechanical Ultegra, and it still rocks. I think I did prefer, Brian, to your point, RGT to where this is at now. Like, the racing was better, but I think that this could maybe go even farther than RGT did. I think, again, like, Zwift has stepped up in a lot of ways. Still not perfect. I think Zwift's pack dynamics. Okay, let's get into this. I think Zwift's pack dynamics have gotten worse. It feels more like a time trial. Worse in terms of like realism for racing, but better in terms of the fact that the pack looks like a pack. Like, it doesn't look, it used to. Go watch a Zwift community live stream from like 2020 or 2021. All the Zwift avatars are like constantly shuffling laterally through each other. They fixed that, but now it's like, it's so hard at the back of the pack in Zwift now. Or maybe like the person at the back of the pack is doing 90% of what the person in the front is doing, but with the added danger that you could be dropped off the back. And it's made it like more of a time trial. everyone already said Zwift races were basically a time trial. I think it's even more true now than it was like last time I was racing on there. I don't know. Do people? Looks like we got some agrees there. One lull. I don't know if that's laughing funny because it's true or if you think I'm super wrong, but that's just what I'm feeling. Especially, I ride with pace partners a lot. That's most of what I've been doing on Zwift. Throughout cyclocross season, I was trying to do my intervals on my cross bike outside. I would throw my power meter pedals on that bike and go do hill repeats for my efforts. And also doing a lot of skills work, so like riding single track. But the rides where I was just like this, like just trying to fill out some TSS for the week, I would get on and spin with a pace partner, zone 2. And the most recent change to the pack dynamics on Zwift, it was like I kind of just had to start pushing like 10 or 20 watts closer to whatever the pace partner was doing. There was less drafting effect and more chance that if you're hanging out near the back and not paying attention, because now I got 2 screens here. I got this one that I'm looking at my stream on, and this one, it's actually running IndieVelo right now. But normally I've got Zwift or Trainer Road or whatever on that one, and Cyclocross on this one. Or, you know, Cyclocross is what it's been for the last several weeks, months. RIP to GCN Plus, man. End of an era. It was awesome. I watched every men and women's race. But yeah, I mean, Robin, if that's what you're using it for, if you're training a TT position, get on Zwift and ride with a pace partner. Stay in your aero bars. But yeah, same. I mean, I think the consistency of the effort is something that is probably ultimately good for me. Because again, it's something I don't get outside. But it's not it makes for very boring racing. Like, the reason you see big attacks in racing and like just tactics in general, the sort of the chess portion of racing, the like, if I do this, then you'll do that, is because of the drafting. It's all because it's possible for one person to sit behind and save energy and then unleash it all at once. And the more you like turn that down, the more the racing is going to be everybody going basically like, all right, about how long is this? About what do I think I can sustain for that duration? And just kind of peg it there with the added, like, you know, a little bit harder on the hill, a little bit less on the downhill, and then a sprint at the end. But it's, yeah, I don't know. I could find out that I'm wrong, but that's what I've been seeing, is that especially the bigger the pack is in Zwift, the more danger you're in at the back and the more work you're doing to stay on. I think my road team, Skyway Domestique, is going to do ZRL next season. So maybe we're going to find out yeah, we'll find out what it's like, because I'm going to be in some big groups that are moving quickly and actually racing for the first time in a long time on Zwift. I've been riding on it a lot, but I haven't been racing. So maybe my pace partner findings will not hold true. Yeah, James, I think it is. The focus is racing, but it really does everything. Like, it does erg mode workouts. There are pace partners on here. But the fact that it's got like built in, which I showed at the beginning of this stream. I don't know if you missed it, but you can connect two power sources directly to the game and dual record, which is like something racers on Zwift had wanted forever. There's wind in the game. You can see in that box over there coming on almost a straight headwind, 6 kph right now. That, like I was saying, adds another element versus Zwift, which just becomes a time trial. Adding in wind and wind direction is like another thing you can pay attention to and play with to, you know, get your to have a strategy and like to break it up basically. You mean just watching Zwift isn't a good gauge of the new pack dynamics? So, Brian, do you think I'm right that it has changed a lot and it's harder at the back now? Or it feels like you're just more locked in place. I feel like, yeah, it's like the sticky draft is turned up, which is a thing that everyone used to be mad about, but not. It's like once you are stuck in, it's harder to get unstuck from that place than it used to be. Is that accurate? Have you been racing it a lot? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it feels. But I've got a new sprint PR. And I think I didn't explain this earlier. I don't think that sprint PR just came out of nowhere. I have been more consistent on gym work going back to like, I don't know, September, kind of pre cross season, all the way through cross season. I've been more consistent with gym work than I ever have. Like 2-3 times a week. Oh, okay. You think it's better? Brian, do you think it's better? Tell me, like, better in what way? Am I wrong that it feels like more of a time trial now? Or, like, is the stickiness good in some way? Okay, so I think that you're saying you can attack and the blob doesn't just swallow you up immediately. That's the upshot of if you're at the back, you're kind of just stuck at the back and it's hard to move up. It used to be the draft was less sticky. And if you were at the back getting a big draft, you would just churn through to the front. And it would, that would kind of artificially inflate the speed of the pack. So they've taken that away now. But the upshot of that is, to me, it feels like it's harder to move around in the pack and harder to save energy because I don't want to come through and take turns at the front all the time. With the old pack dynamics, I was pretty good at recognizing that I had kind of gotten that push that was going to take me through the pack, and I would back off and save even more rather than go to the front when I was trying to sit in. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, weight training. I've been doing squats and deadlifts. Those are the main ones. 2-3 times a week for several months now. And I think especially at that shorter end of power, like 5 to 15 seconds, maybe even up to 20, 25. That's why I've seen a big increase. Or, I mean, I'm seeing PRs and I haven't been doing sprints on the bike at all. So I'm hoping that there's even a little bit more headroom there once I get to doing sprints a lot. Brian, I know you can move up. It's still possible, but it feels like it takes more of a, you got to push the pedals a little harder to like start the moving up. And then once you unstick yourself, you can kind of slide through there. Is that right? I mean, it may also be a thing where like, it's not necessarily better or worse. It's just like, I got to figure it out. I think that's one of the reasons I've always been able to punch above my weight a little bit in terms of like, beating people that are maybe better than me in real life or whatever on these indoor platforms, is because I sit here and think about the pack dynamics and how to learn it. I think a lot of guys who are really good in real life, it's like, why would they even mess with that? They're just going to go win real races. To that point, I was clearing old videos off my hard drive the other day and found an old Echelon Racing League uphill time trial. And who do I see right in front of me in this time trial video but Will Harden, who we had on the podcast on this channel a couple weeks ago, rider who was on Project Echelon until Jan 1 of this year. He's moved over to Miami Knights. Global physics is suck compared to RGT, but pack is better. Yeah, see, Brian, I think for a guy who like gravitates to a very steady effort, I think these pack dynamics are gonna suit that a little bit better. But if it makes a breakaway possible, or like makes it a little easier to stay off the front, that's maybe a net positive. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get in there and try it. But it has been feeling, it could also just be that the old physics gave me a little bit of an advantage being a very small guy, and that's kind of evened out a little bit. I don't know. It's also so hard to say versus real life because like there's so many factors in how fast you're going, and even like in your CDA other than just the size of your body. Like I've been running 38 cm bars on the road with my hoods turned in, so my hands are like about this far apart, like slightly narrower than my shoulders. That's made me so much more aero. But there are other guys who are maybe, on paper shorter than me, but they're sitting up more, arms are wider, scooping air into their chests, and vice versa. There's probably also bigger guys who do a better job of getting low and holding a position like this than I do. This is something I got to start training. Like in the next week or two, I got to get outside and get back into this, like trying to make sure to turtle my head down. This is something I tell people that I'm in breakaways with in real life a lot, is I'll be behind them, and from behind I can still see their head poking up like this. Like they're in the drops and they're leaned over, but their head is poking up. I always tell them, like, try and get your head down in line with your back and you'll go a lot faster. Meaning we will go a lot faster when you are pulling, which is what I want from a breakaway companion, to a point, till I'm trying to beat them. But normally if I'm telling them that, we're not there yet. See, Brian, that's what I don't like. Because in real races, there is recovery to be had on almost any race. Like, I think the only real life race I've ever done that felt like that sort of Zwift race where you always have to be pedaling, recovery is non-existent, regardless of Racecraft, was a crit in New Orleans. I believe it was called the Harbor Master Criterium. It was right off the bay, so it was just this 25-mile-an-hour crosswind the whole time. And because it's so flat down there, all the guys in Louisiana and Mississippi and northern Florida that are really good are just these huge, 200-pound watt monsters. So the combination of being in there with all these really big raw number guys, and then this gale force wind, like the wind was blowing over the sponsor advertisements. The combination of that gale force wind coming from the side all the way around the course, basically taking the draft away from me. That's the only time I've ever been in a crit and just gotten ridden off the wheels. Like, even in the corners, there was nowhere. I used to feel like I had ways, like I could time a super tuck really well. I had my little tricks, you know, to find ways to, like, and when I say tricks, like I wasn't doing anything try and cheat the game. I just understood how the game worked, and I could find moments of recovery. I feel like I can't anymore. And I don't know. I mean, maybe IndieVelo will provide a decent counterpoint to that. I need it feels like the physics model is better in IndieVelo. Does that seem right to you? Like, just turning your watts into a speed seems more accurate or realistic or something on here. Anyway, I'm coming up on an hour, which is what I was going for. Man, thanks again to Verge. I'm gonna make a video just about this kit, but this indoor kit is so good. This might be the only stream where I didn't feel like I had to, you know, go full Schleck on it. I actually kept my kit on the whole stream. Happy hour. See, that's the trick to cross races, though, is finding the races, like finding the short, like 5 seconds, 10 seconds where you need to be off the pedals because it's a 180, it's technical downhill, and using those to recover very quickly. All right, I'm interested to find them, enjoy the suffering. So I don't know, follow me on Twitch and get in the chat when I'm racing next week and tell me what I'm doing wrong. I might even try to do a race this weekend, like maybe on Saturday, to try and get my head around the new pack dynamics before I just get absolutely blown out the back in ZRL. Because those races are always insanity. Yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out. It's good to be back. If you haven't seen my video comparing 3 platforms, it's the most recent thing on the YouTube channel, and gonna have some stuff about all of the American criterium scene. I wouldn't say drama, but news. Corey leaving Legion, Corey Williams leaving Legion, Corey Lockwood coming to Blazers, former Legion rider. Texas Roadhouse had a big merger with ACG. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening that we need to talk about for sure. A ton of race series, so be on the lookout for all that. Yeah, thanks guys. I'll see you later.